I'm Tom Stanfill, CEO and co-founder of ASLAN Training. We are a sales training firm, a global company. It's been in business for 30 years this year, celebrating our 30th year. We had lost our director of marketing, who had evolved into that role because she had the best background, but didn't really have a lot of experience as head of marketing. She worked for a marketing firm, knew more about it than anybody else. So that's kind of where we were. We'd hired another CMO before her. That didn't work out. So we've kind of been struggling to find an executive to lead our marketing efforts. And so that's kind of where we were. Moving to a fractional CMO, I think, was a great move for us because it allowed us to afford somebody who had the expertise so they kind of could work within our budget and give us what we needed from an executive level. But we weren't at the stage where we could hire somebody, that had the experience that we needed full time. So it was actually a perfect fit. So we needed people to execute, but they needed to execute under a strategy that was developed by somebody who knew what they were doing. We needed somebody we could trust to step back and help us define the strategy and implement a strategy and not let the strategy be driven by the different vendors and partners that we were working with. We also were struggling with the execution. We would be blamed for lack of execution rather than feeling like we had somebody that we could work with, that we could trust. And they all were pretty good at what they did, but we weren't sure that it was what we needed because we also weren't seeing the results. So we needed somebody to oversee all of that and drive that. And plus that took a ton of time to work with all the different vendors and partners and figure out did they know what they were doing. And so we needed a leader, and that's why we hired Alonso. Well, first of all, I felt, which is super important to me, is that you are a good fit for our culture. That's really important to me. And so I need to work with somebody who's other-centered, who has the same values, who wants to serve our customers, serve our people. So that was number one that came out of that meeting for me. That's why one of the reasons I wanted to get to know you, and so you get to know me and figure out, is this a cultural fit? And I felt very good about that. But I think it was just the meeting that we had, the time that you took, and you've not only taken more time and divest in the relationship, not just in that meeting when I flew out to Seattle. I think we met for a day, maybe even 2 days. You also come to our leadership meetings, and that's way out of scope of your, the time that you've allocated to us. Yeah, well, the difference between working with Alonso and agencies, again, is the idea that they all had their independent philosophies and strategies versus working with someone who really could say, this is what we need to do. They could then hire the agencies and manage those agencies. So it was really an expertise and a time thing. So I could, as a CEO, could work with one person to get everything done versus working with 4 or 5 organizations and trying to determine were they doing their job, managing them. I could work with one person, and so it was very efficient and effective. We're doubling our numbers. So the marketing sourced leads, or marketing sourced meetings, marketing sourced revenue, everything is doubled since you've taken over. And we've doubled marketing source first meetings, which is the key thing that we're measuring. Like, are we getting meetings with the right people? Like, it's one thing to look at leads, it's one thing to look at, but when you net it out, is marketing bringing us more leads for our sales organization, more meetings? And so that tells you the quality of leads. So they translate into meeting. And we've doubled that. You're not going to find somebody that knows our space. I don't know how long Alonso's been in our space, but I know it's been, 10 plus years in our space. So I may be overstating that a bit, but I know he's been in our space a long time. He understands what we're doing. He understands who's in the market, who are our competition, what are the resources available. I mean, it's such a perfect fit for what we do.